The Skywalker Pod Talker, the notorious ATB, right here with Big Jess Tancredible. We are the realest part of the room. This is Till 5 Wrestling, where the bad boys pod.
And you can't teach that.
How you doing?
Welcome to the show.
We are the ever so lovely notorious ATB and Jess Tancredible. This is Till 5, as always. Yep. And we're going to start things off with the Flipside Faceoff with the Prince Justice Brotherhood against the Hurricane, Rosey, and Super Stacy.
That's right.
And I'm going to take care of the Prince Justice Brotherhood because I'm going to side with them.
Okay, well, I'm definitely going to side with the Hurricane and Rosey, so we'll start there. So in 2003, the tag...
I told you, I'm not coming on the show unless you give me my money. Congratulations on 167 views, man. You guys are killing it. You're really taking off. That's awesome. So proud. Yeah, it's a joke.
The Hurricane discovered Rosey. This is after Jamal or Umaga, whatever you want to call him, was gone from the company, went to Japan for a while. So Rosey became a superhero in training. Some would call him a shit. So from there, they had some funny skits backstage. They had a long-running feud with La Resistance. And in 2004... July 19th, to be exact, Rosey graduated and became a full superhero. And so it was born. The superheroes, Hurricane and Rosey. So in early 2005, they won the WWE Tag Team Championships in a Tag Team Turmoil match, defeating the defending champs Tajiri and William Regal. And the other teams were the Heartthrobs, La Resistance, and Simon Dean and Maven. That was, it was fun. They did their thing. Didn't hold the belts too long. They lost to Cade and Murdoch, which led to their split, where Rosey went to the Indies as Rosey, as you told me earlier.
R-O-Z.
Yep. Where Hurricane turned heel and became Gregory Helms and went on a really fun run. Now, what I didn't mention is that at some point in there, Stacy Keibler joined the group. She became Super Stacy. She was their valet. And that was pretty much her last spot in wrestling, was as a superhero in training.
She decided she didn't want to do it anymore.
Yep. Yeah. And that's pretty much it for Hurricane and Rosey, the superheroes.
So my team has a lot less of a history.
Yep.
But the Prince Justice Brotherhood was Super Eric, Shark Boy, and Curry Man. Konnichiwa! Did you know that when Curry Man spoke in Japanese, he was just saying Japanese wrestlers' names?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. No.
Apparently.
That's hilarious.
And the Prince Justice Brotherhood only wrestled 2 matches together. They had a rivalry with the Rock and Rave Infection.
Okay.
And they won those matches and went on about their business.
Mm-hmm.
Then Shark Boy and Curry Man had a little bit of a rivalry with Team 3D.
Yep.
You had the Fish Market Street Fight, which I enjoyed back in the day. I thought it was hilarious, but also very stupid.
Brief feud with the Main Event Mafia.
Yeah, they had a little bit of a Main Event Mafia run. They, Eric actually, this led to the front line with Eric and AJ and Joe when Super Eric came about because Eric Young was having a rivalry with Relic.
Mm-hmm. Which is killer spelled backwards for those who don't know.
There we go. And Black Rain, who was Dustin Rhodes. I really liked that character.
I did
Dustin.
too.
Yeah. But Eric was really afraid and he came back as Super Eric and went into that rivalry. He ended up teaming up with AJ Styles.
It helped him regain his confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he was afraid he was going to get fired.
Yeah, he was, and he before he was a whipping boy in Team Canada, even before that.
Yeah. He was the little weakling.
Yeah.
But Eric went on from there to... He had a brief team with AJ Styles.
Yep.
And they almost won the tag team titles, but didn't get the job done.
Then World Elite popped up shortly after that.
They had the front line. And then after the front line came the World Elite. And Eric had his run with the world title even for a little bit. Yep. He had his WWE run. Eric went on to be a massive force for TNA wrestling.
He got to be in the band with X-Pac and Nash.
And Scott Hall.
And Scott Hall,
and
yes.
Bubba the Love Sponge.
Which was
for a few
so
weeks.
strange
Yeah.
that Eric Young was, but whatever. They needed a guy in the ring because Scott was unreliable at the time.
They needed somebody that could wrestle.
Yep. So
because Six couldn't wrestle all the matches.
Eric Young was always Mr. Reliable in TNA.
Yeah, he was. He was always a good hand. And if he didn't do the fishing shows, I wonder how big he could have been for him.
Yep.
But he wanted to pursue that too.
He's still there to this day.
Yeah, he still works
came
there
back
now.
in 2020 after his WWE run and won the world title again.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's been a pretty fun run. He did the
he kind of came full circle with Cody Deaner.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was neat to hear.
Yeah, the Violent by Design. I liked that storyline.
Yeah.
That was really cool.
And then Shark Boy actually made his debut in TNA without the mask on Disco Inferno's show on NWA back in the day. And then Shark Boy has been one of the most consistent TNA people. He's popped in and out left and right. He's never really won a big, like, anything. Because he never won any titles, but he was always a good worker. He had that Stone Cold Shark Boy
always
gimmick for
a
little
fan
bit.
favorite.
Yeah, the fans always really enjoyed him.
To me, I think he's one of the best comedy characters of all
He
time in
was.
wrestling.
And he's a Kentucky local.
Yep.
Like
him.
us.
Yep.
So that was always really neat.
Yep.
And Curryman is Christopher Daniels. If you don't know who Christopher Daniels is, you need to know who Christopher Daniels is. Because he's one of the best wrestlers on the face of the earth there's ever been. And the dude has been doing it at this point for what, 25 years, 30 years?
Probably closer to 30, really.
Yeah, and he was wrestling just a couple of weeks ago against Jack Perry.
That's right. And still got it. Still
yeah,
looks
he
good,
is
man.
still able to go.
Yep.
So while I'll concede that Rosey and Hurricane and Stacy were a bigger group, I honestly believe that the Prince Justice Brotherhood went on to bigger things individually.
Now, as far as world championships go, like you said, Super X became a world champion. Christopher Daniels also became a world champion later in Ring of Honor.
Yes.
A huge moment.
Not
around 2016.
Let's not forget he's also one half of the first
AEW Tag Team Champions. And like I said, the Hurricane went on to become Gregory Helms, formerly Sugar Shane Helms, one of my favorite WCW cruiserweights.
Yeah.
Went on to be Gregory Helms, my favorite WWE cruiserweight ever. In that amazing run, had that great "It's Time" theme song, and that was fun. Now, you actually didn't watch SmackDown much at that time, and as somebody who's a really big Sugar Shane fan, you should definitely go back and check some of that out, man. That was a lot of fun.
It was. I'm sure that it was.
Yeah.
I will admit that his matches that I saw on the pay-per-views back then were very good matches. So Shane Helms has always been a heck of a worker.
Yep. I wish he was more respected in the industry.
But I do think that Christopher Daniels, let's say this, that Christopher Daniels is the Shane Helms.
Sort of, yeah.
Christopher Daniels had a better career than Shane Helms.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So let's say that Rosey is the Super Eric.
Okay.
Or Eric Young. Eric Young had a better career than Rosey.
That's right.
And that leaves us with
Stacy Keibler and
Shark Boy.
Which, I'm going to take Shark Boy every time. As far as money made, Stacy Keibler destroyed Shark
Stacy
Boy.
has done a lot more money than anybody.
Yeah,
in this
Stacy
equation.
did a lot of stuff outside of wrestling too that made a lot of money.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that the Prince Justice Brotherhood was the better team, even though if it was kind of a random group that was thrown together.
Well, this is a wrestling show. And because it's a wrestling show, the better team, to me, is Hurricane and Rosey.
Well, you know what? We can agree to disagree or just go ahead and admit that you won't accept that you're wrong. So since those are kind of some random teams, I thought maybe we'd do a random teaming for the WWE today with our blind bag special.
Blind bag special.
And I'm going first because I'm more important. Oh, Cody Rhodes. Oh. Hey, wrestling has more than one royal family.
They do. And their names are the Von Erichs. Ooh, Bo Dallas / Uncle Howdy.
Ooh, this could be a fun
this
one.
might be a good one.
All right, let's see who I get here. Cody's partner is Cruz del Toro.
And we're off the rails.
Yeah.
So for fans that are just now tuning into the segment for the first time, we get gypped every single time we pull this.
It never fails.
Bo Dallas's tag team partner is Cedric Alexander. This is going to be sort of easy storyline wise for me, though.
This is going to be really bad. It's Cruz del Toro.
So Cruz del Toro is Raul Mendoza. He's in the
Oh,
LWO.
that clears it up
He
for me.
teams with DJZ, Joaquin Wild.
Okay, so it's not Walking Wild, it's the other guy. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in
So,
the cruiserweight class. Very good wrestler.
I mean, the obvious answer for me here is that we're going to let the LWO and Cody unite for a Mexican American thing. And Cody is going to take this Cruz del Toro under his wing, just like Randy took Cody under his wing back in the day. And Cody had his matches with Ray. They've got a thing to bond over.
Okay.
So Cody's going to take him under there. And, well, how does Uncle Howdy come into this equation?
Okay, well, here we go. So this is going to be relatively easy. As you know, Uncle Howdy has the power of phenom magic, as they do. So that makes this a bit easier. So he's basically just going to brainwash Cedric Alexander here.
Okay, so what's Cedric Alexander's new...
well, he's an underappreciated guy, just like Joe Gacy, just like Dexter Loomis. So he's going to join the Wyatt Six.
Okay.
So
he's going to be the sixth.
He's going to be the sixth.
Okay.
And he is going to be Cedric the Destroyer or something like that. And he's going to come out in a Spartan outfit. No, I'm just kidding. He's going to come out like the rest of them, man. He's going to have a cool like clown mask or something. And he's going to come out and he's going to do his thing. And Bo Dallas and Cedric are going to be awesome as a team.
So
they're the Wyatt business.
So, okay, look, can I help you out here?
Sure.
Okay.
They're the Bo business.
So Cody takes Cruz under his wing. And they end up getting a tag team title shot. And they lose because Ray doesn't help Cody get back in the ring. Ray just watches.
Rey Mysterio.
Yes. And this causes Uncle Howdy to come after him for being a false hero.
And a filthy animal.
Yes. So he decides to unleash Cedric the Sixth, who comes in with his mask, and we just leave his as a plain black mask. And he comes in and joins the Wyatt Six as Cedric the Sixth. And Uncle Howdy and Cedric go after Cody and Cruz.
Okay.
And we end up having a, you know what? Let's just go ahead and pull this trigger. Because of this, Uncle Howdy gets a pinfall on Cody Rhodes.
Wow.
So we can do Uncle Howdy and Cody Rhodes in Saudi Arabia or wherever they want. And Cody can just use that as a simple couple month feud to get him to WrestleMania.
Well,
still as champion.
Well, you can have that one because Uncle Howdy and Cedric was just not a good pairing on my end, man.
You mean Cedric the Sixth?
Cedric the Sixth. Well,
speaking of stuff that doesn't work, maybe we should discuss some of the merch that didn't work over the years. Some marketing mishaps.
Marketing mishaps.
So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is one of the weirdest ones to me. Bowling balls. Why did they make wrestling bowling balls? Why does anybody want a bowling ball that says Y2J on the side of it?
Well, you know, that's a great question. And that brings me to a TNA point. Why would anybody want an Eric Young, we talked about him earlier, plastic beard?
Yeah, this is true.
When he was world champion, they were selling Eric Young plastic beards.
Well, to be fair, the beard was very popular. This was also during the Duck Dynasty era.
That's right. That's right.
So they could get some people off of that. He had his fishing show. He was a little more popular and he was known for his beard.
Right.
So I get that one. What I don't get is a WWF squirt head that you use to soak up water and it looks like Hulk Hogan is spitting water out of the gap in his teeth. I never understood. I had those growing up.
Oh, wow. Did you really?
Yes, I did, really.
Did you have any of the WWF talking soap?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I didn't, but I would love to find it just so that like I can wash my butt as the Rock's like, do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Dude, one of my favorite terrible merchandise mishaps in wrestling is when the smoking guns were at their peak in the early 90s. They had the gigantic smoking guns.
That looks like the Primus cowboy
Yeah,
hat.
from Wynona's
Yes.
Big Brown Beaver.
Yes.
Yeah, the music video. They had the big foam cowboy hats.
Yeah. They even had some Macho Man ones back in the day.
I didn't
think.
know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of really bad hats, Bianca Belair hat with a ponytail on it.
I've not seen that one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
awful. It is one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Well, we've got into some of that. There's a couple really horrific T-shirts, and one of them.
Hold on, before we get into T-shirts, there is another hat.
Oh God.
They made a Daniel Bryan hat that the bill of it was fuzzy like his beard. Yes. Just to point out two
Well,
awful hats that I remember seeing.
That's an awful hat.
You want to talk about some shirts?
I would like to talk about a Rikishi shirt from the early 2000s, I suppose, or late 90s. And on the front it says, "Back that ass up." And on the back, it is a picture of Rikishi's butt.
They had a Billy Gunn shirt that at one point said all this, and on the back it said, and a really great ass too. Fun fact, I had that shirt, and I wore that shirt in my urban red and black and white camo with a pleather jacket to a WWF show back in the day.
Wow.
Yeah, I was just cool daddy. I had a camouflage bucket hat, and it was one of those bucket hats that had like spots for slugs because I was cool. It was my paintball gear, is what it was. And my
Wow.
urban camo pants on. Hey, I guess that's what you call the red urban camo. I don't know.
Okay.
But it was red and black, gray, all that fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was my Filthy Animals era of Aaron.
That's great.
Yeah,
man.
right around when
That's really great.
I even colored my hair pink at one point during that.
You were a filthy animal.
Yeah, I was. That was me.
There you go.
Speaking of some Filthy Animal shirts, let's talk about the awful AJ Styles shirt that looked like it had let's just go ahead and say it. It looked like it had semen all over it. The front of it was spelled out in AJ style, or it said AJ, and then what did the back of it say?
I don't even know.
It was just an awful shirt. For some reason, they love to accidentally make genitalia shirts.
Well, it's like Val Venus had a similar shirt in the Attitude Era that was cocked and loaded in the exact same font as that
Oh, no,
AJ
it was
Styles shirt.
locked,
Locked,
yes.
cocked, and ready to unload.
Well, they had the shirt that made it it looked like Sin Cara had a penis. A giant one that was just sticking up in his shirt. And they had the APA shirt, always pounding ass, which is not something that they ever needed to make.
I almost put that one on my list.
They had a lot of awful shirts. I was trying to avoid a lot of them, like the Vince Loves Cock shirt that they did. It was just stupid shirts.
You know, we can get away from the shirts because there is one more horrible wrestling
Or is
memorabilia I saw
Is
today.
it terrible?
It's terrible. And it is a WWE waffle maker.
That's a recent item.
Yeah, I saw that looking through the shop today. I want to see if there was anything current that stuck out to me,
Yeah.
and that immediately did.
A fairly recent one that I want to throw out there is the Funkasaurus piggy bank.
The Funkasaurus piggy bank.
It was a orange piggy bank that had the Funkasaurus fedora on,
Okay.
and it had a dinosaur tail.
What about the CM Punk gnomes?
Oh God, I love those gnomes.
You would.
I would love to have those gnomes. If anybody out there has those gnomes, let me know. Hit me up. I would really enjoy to have one of those gnomes. Now, one of the other things that they had that was a really dumb idea. WCW had, first off, they had a lot of dumb
Yeah,
ideas.
WCW was the kings of bad ideas.
Yes.
Yes, Dave, we can get a WWE waffle maker for the studio.
Dave wants a waffle maker. We'll make sure that we get a hold of Keith Coogan. He can help you out with that because he loves his waffles. Keith is the brother in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead.
There you go.
It's like the dishes are done, man. Yeah.
You know what a guy that says man all the time probably smokes a lot of?
Probably smokes a lot of marijuana or some THC products. Now, if you're interested in some THC products, you can hit up Green Hemp Company on Facebook or online at greenhempcompany.com. You can get their quality products in the store Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m., Sundays from noon until 6 p.m. You can also reach out to them at greenhempcompany@gmail.com. They're located in the foothills of the Smokies. And if you need anything for your mental health, physical health, or if you just need something to help you relax a little extra on the weekends, they can help you find the right product for your needs. And that brings us to our next segment, our Till 5 Top 5 Tag Team.
I'm very excited for this one.
Now, I feel like we're both going to say the same number one.
All right, on 3, we're going to do it. 3, 2, 1. Road Warriors.
I hate you.
What'd you go with?
Briscoes.
I had the Briscoes at number 3.
Briscoes are always going to be my number.
I had the Briscoes they're on the list for me, but they're number 3.
Top 5 dead or alive.
Top 5, that puts them at number 3. That's accurate.
No.
They're on our table. They are the only tag team mentioned today that's on our table currently.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, they are the greatest tag team ever. From their early days in ROH to the end.
Yeah.
They were great every night of the week. And if it hadn't been for little whiny twerps on the internet, they would have been big stars for AEW too.
It's really criminal that terrible things had to happen to get Mark Briscoe on AEW TV full time.
Yep. You know, it's a shame that people want to cancel so many wrestlers nowadays.
Some people say for the good things win. Don't go too.
Now, Tan, the Quebecers, and the Mountie, I'm not a huge fan, but they were a lot of fun.
We love the Mountie. I love the Mountie.
He loves the Mountie.
And he always gets his man.
That he does. He would have gotten Joe Couch on day one.
He probably would have.
Yes. Now, from there, Johnny Polo gets fired for the WWE.
Yep.
Or WWF. Yeah.
The Fed.
Yeah.
New York.
So he gets fired from there, goes to ECW, starts this little poet, what about me?
Starts workshopping the Raven, kind of Edgar Allan Poe inspired Raven gimmick. Grunge was really big at this time in the mid 90s. So he starts workshopping this, and Stevie Richards actually brings him into ECW on and off screen. Okay. He starts working with the likes of the Sandman. Okay. Does this crazy storyline where he gets in Sandman's family's head.
Is this where he gets his son to Kane Sandman?
Yes. Yeah. He gets the whole family, the son and the wife.
Yeah, the wife misses 3 times.
Insane. And then he crucifies the Sandman, which led to Kurt Angle not signing with ECW in 96.
Yeah. That was brilliant to do that.
The most legendary thing he did in ECW was his long-running feud with Tommy Dreamer. That was just nonstop. It was fantastic. Just off and on, off and on, off and on. They had some great matches. Beulah got involved. Sandman got involved. Blue Meanie got involved. A lot of people got involved because Raven had a nest.
Okay.
In ECW.
That was like his ECW version of the Flock, right?
Sort of. And I'm sure there was more to it than this. Right off the top of my head, I remember Blue Meanie and I remember Stevie Richards.
Yeah, because that was part of the big thing when Stevie showed up in WCW.
That's right.
That was my first time ever really paying attention to ECW, was when Raven showed up in WCW.
When they started crossing over.
Yeah, because I really liked this grungy guy.
Yeah, and there was a lot of them on ECW.
But
the best one ended up in WCW, and his name was Raven.
I loved the Raven character and the way that he had his flock in WCW.
It's really cool. It's mesmerizing. It was
Yeah.
a cool, nice gimmick.
Well, he took Billy Kidman, who was running around in like Stars and Stripes gear.
Got Perry Saturn
Yeah.
on board.
Yeah, we completely turned Billy into this weirdo. That's where we got Lodi in for the first time.
Yep. Reese.
Reese,
Stick
Stick
Boy.
Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stick Boy. Riggs.
Yes, Scotty
dude,
Riggs with
an
the eye patch.
Eye patch Riggs.
Yeah. Horace Hogan.
Yep. Horace.
Yes.
Yep. Horace Boulder
I-
from FMW.
Yeah, I really enjoyed all of the Raven in WCW. One of my favorite matches to look back on is Raven, Chris Benoit, and Diamond Dallas Page at Uncensored.
Yeah.
And then to follow that up with was it Raven and DDP match at Spring
I
Stampede?
believe so. See, DDP and Raven were good friends behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And man, they could make each other look really good when they wrestled each other.
Those matches were great.
Yeah.
And I actually, even as a Goldberg fan, I hated how quickly he won.
Last
the United
week you
States title.
denounced Goldberg.
Well,
this week
I
we're
was-
back.
I'm just saying that I was a Goldberg fan back in the day.
Wow.
I had a Who's Next shirt. And I
Poser.
hated to see Goldberg beat Raven that quickly for the United
Yeah.
States title. Like, that really bothered me because we destroy Reese, we destroy everybody.
So it kind of goes downhill from there with Raven after that, okay? The flock kind of falls off, and he eventually winds up with the Insane Clown Posse and Vampiro
As the
in
Deadpool.
the Deadpool.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then this is the great thing about the Deadpool is the reason that it ended is because Eric Bischoff holds a talent meeting and says anybody who wants to leave, you can get out of your contract right now. No problem. Raven is the only person who stands up and takes it. And Bischoff gives him his release. Part of the clause of that release is he can't go to the WWF.
right.
So he goes back to ECW.
Right, where if I'm not mistaken, he returns as Tommy Dreamer's mystery partner in a huge shock to the crowd
Yes.
and wins the ECW Tag Team Champions that night with Tommy.
And then ends up winning them again with Mike Awesome
There you go.
later on. Yeah. And from there, I mean, he didn't do a lot. This was basically to just ride out.
Riding out the waves till he could go to WWF, really.
And then he goes to the WWF. He doesn't really do a ton in the WWF.
Okay, but he does. 26 times as the hardcore champion. And if I'm not mistaken, Stevie Richards actually held it more than Raven. They would just bang, 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 back and forth with Crash Holly and the Headbangers and whoever else, Taz. But that was it. And Vince hated him.
The Moppy feud.
Yeah.
That was fun.
So Vince hated Raven for whatever reason. So Raven started working on Heat. And
Yeah.
Raven started what at the beginning it was going to be a 7 Deadly Sins type gimmick. And it was actually looking really cool, man. The vignettes they shot were cool. And then once again, Raven was gone.
Then he pops up in NWA TNA.
Yep.
And goes after Jeff Jarrett.
Where he has some of his bloodiest matches yet.
Yes.
Yep.
He goes after Jeff Jarrett, ends up not winning the NWA title in time. He goes into a feud with James Mitchell in the New Church.
Yep.
And Shane Douglas randomly pops up
Yeah, just
during
the
this.
most random.
You've got
He's got
Sin and Slash running around.
Julio De Niro and CM
young
Punk,
CM
yeah,
Punk.
and Mickey James, a very young
Yes.
Mickey James.
And they're in TNA dealing with all this and that brutal head shaving by James Mitchell. That
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, at the same time this is going on, he's in Ring of Honor
Yup.
putting on the classic rivalry with CM Punk
Mm-hmm.
and ends up helping Punk develop as a star and ends up making Punk into the star that I fell in love with as a wrestling
Yep.
fan. So
Raven was very integral
he
to
was.
CM Punk's upbringing.
Between TNA and Ring of Honor, you have to feel like that was outside of Ace Steel and maybe Harley Race, probably the biggest influence on Punk.
To me, Raven is a creative genius, and he really
He is.
saw something in CM Punk, and
He
he
did.
really took him under his wing.
Yeah, he did. And he was right.
Yep, he was absolutely right. He usually was.
Well, I've seen some of his like planned reality show thing where he was going to give people new gimmicks.
In wrestling, don't worry about it. He's fine. That was a little later when things started to fall off the rails. Well, We'll get there.
But he had the TNA run.
Yep.
That ended up he wins the world title.
From Rhino?
Yes. No. He won it in King of the Mountain at Slammiversary.
Gotcha.
Yes.
He lost to Rhino, didn't he?
No.
Shoot.
No.
Dang.
Raven wins the belt at Slammiversary.
I-
He loses it in October at a Border City Wrestling, Scott D'Amour's independent company.
Okay.
He loses the belt there to Jeff Jarrett. And Jarrett ends up going into to Bound for Glory to take on Kevin Nash. Nash tears his quad beforehand.
Yep.
Rhino ends up winning a battle royal and then winning the world title and then losing it back to Jarrett.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a cluster.
Yeah, it was a club,
But
but I loved it.
there,
at that
but I
point.
do.
So let me see. I'll tell you what. You give me. We'll call it $5,000. Give me $5,000, and I want rats lined up out the door, to my left and to my right, good and tight. That's what I
Goodbye.
want. I guess we'll just have to see then, won't we? Good luck on your show. Can't stand you guys. Trying to play with my wrestlers.
And Raven. I want to say a Full Metal Massacre. Is that what they called those? Or Full Metal Mayhem matches in TNA?
Yeah, it was
And it was a lot of fun.
September 11th, 2005.
There you go.
I was there.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
There you go.
And
Had great matches in TNA also with the likes of Abyss and Sabu
AJ Styles.
and AJ Styles and even Monty Brown.
I loved Monty.
I love Monty Brown too.
Raven, for me, he kind of died off after his TNA run for me.
Well, we didn't finish up, man, because after all that, he left TNA for a little while.
Yeah.
He comes back, starts
Blonde hair
Serotonin,
Raven.
which is a new version of the Flock, basically.
Yeah.
with
where he's
Johnny
beating up
Devine,
Johnny Devine.
Frankie Kazarian, and Matt Bentley, who was
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels' cousin,
Yes.
who I think was going by a different name at that point, but I
They
can't
gave
remember.
them all different
Was it like
names.
Maverick or something?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, anywho,
Yeah.
that happened, and then he went away for a little bit, and then he came back again, and it was time for EV2, where the ECW thing happened at TNA. He stuck around for a couple years and ended up hanging out with Abyss and Dr. Stevie and the late great Daphne.
Yes.
Big
Daphne fans here.
And he's been in the Indies ever since. Currently, he's working MLW. He's managing a group, which is kind of like a new version of the Flock again.
No, I mean Raven's really good at the cult leader.
He is a writer and producer for MLW also. And
I really want to see Raven pop up in AEW for a match.
yeah, just one.
Just one. He could pop in and
He should have fought Jack Perry during that stretch.
he could fight Jack Perry now.
That would be cool.
I'd be fine with that. He could pop up and save Hook from Roderick Strong because Roderick's threatening to break his back and make him humble.
That's
I don't know
true.
if you caught that.
Well, listen, I think that Raven popping up at fighting Jack Perry was funny because I think Jack Perry's very heavily influenced by Raven on this new scapegoat gimmick,
Yeah.
it seems.
Yeah, it is. Honestly, I'm enjoying it.
I am too.
I feel like Jack Perry got the best. Jack Perry and CM Punk got the best deal of that whole
It
brawl
worked
out
out
scenario.
great for both guys.
Yeah.
Genuinely. It didn't work out great for a company necessarily.
But they're back on track now.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I can see Raven's influence all over the business. I mean, you can see it anywhere you go, whether you're watching GCW, whether you're watching TNA, whether you're watching WWE, even AEW.
But I'll say this: Raven probably changed the way promos were delivered.
That's absolutely right.
Forever, because he was the first one. Well, outside of Jake Roberts, he was the first one to do a slow, methodical. But Raven added a little bit of oddness to it.
Well, Raven added legitimate poetry in it and really dark imagery. Like there's a classic ECW promo of him sitting in a classroom at a desk talking about what it was like to be an abused child.
Well,
And it was just so raw.
I really loved his promos and vignettes from WCW where
Yeah.
they revealed that he was really a spoiled rich
That
kid.
was hilarious.
with candy.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed that. Right.
A lot of people hate that, but I really
And
did like it also.
I'm a big fan of the movie A Clockwork Orange.
Yep.
So
Clockwork Orange House of Fun.
I loved that he had the A Clockwork Orange House of Fun match.
Well, that was almost the thing with Serotonin too. They came out sort of dressed like Clockwork
Yeah.
Orange. Yeah, obviously he was very influenced by classic horror movies.
Yeah.
And poetry like Edgar Allan Poe and all that, like we've already mentioned.
Well,
and The Crow.
fun fact, another wrestler that is also a big fan of that movie is Alex Shelley.
Really?
That's where the Alex part of his name comes
no
from.
kidding.
Yep.
The
From the
more
main
you
character
know.
in A Clockwork Orange.
That makes sense.
Yep. He's also a big fan.
That's a good movie. I really love
It-
that movie. Also.
it is
It's
a really
classic.
good
If
one.
you haven't seen it, check it out, and maybe you'll get closer to
Don't
raving it out.
don't let your children check it out.
No.
Like, it's not for the weak.
16 plus on Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I saw it when I was like 13. and
I
it was-
probably saw it around
Yeah,
the same
it
age.
was. I don't recommend it for
It'll
most
mess
people.
with your head, and you'll start a wrestling podcast.
Yeah, you'll decide that you need to do something called like Till 6 because this has been Till 5 Wrestling. I've been the Notorious ATB,
I'm just incredible.
and we are where the Bad Boys Pod. You can catch our merchandise on Redbubble. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, and you can find us on Twitter, Instagram. You can find us all over the internet. So if you enjoy us, support us, buy some merch, comment, like, subscribe, share our stuff at least.
And make sure you support the reigning and defending Till 5 Wrestling World Champion, Just Incredible, and his manager, the Notorious ATB.
And we will catch you all next week with 5 more segments. Thank you. Good night, goodbye, good morning, whenever you're watching it.